everyone. You're live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey, and I have with me today Tony La Centr. Hey, Tony.
Hey, how you doing, Opal?
Doing good. How are you today?
Fine.
Hey, welcome to my show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, so can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Where would you like me to begin?
How about where you're from? What's going on with you lately? What you been up to?
Well, originally I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Florida from the time I was 10. My dad passed away when I was 10, so we moved to Florida, graduated from Rockledge High School, and I've been here ever since.
So I see that you also was military as well.
Yeah, I did a little time in the military after I graduated from high school. Served in the Army, and I was a 63 Tango. And for those that don't know what that is, that was a Bradley Fighting Vehicle Systems mechanic. So we were one of the first people that actually worked on the Bradley Fighting Vehicle when it was being tested.
So what made you get into the military?
Well, I believe it or not, when I was 15, I quit school and stayed out of school for a while and just kind of thought I had the world. Nobody was going to tell me anything, and kind of kicked around a little bit and decided after 3 years of just kind of drifting around, I went back to high school when I was 18. And
wait a minute. Did you say you went to high school at the age of 18?
Yeah, went back to high school. I went back to 9th grade when I was 18 and started high school all over again at 18.
So how was that? Oh my God.
At the time, I was so focused on getting my life back in order that it really I did 4 years of high school actually in 3 years, with summer school and actually night school, because I had, as I said earlier, I had kind of kicked around a little bit and was, I don't know, just hanging out and doing really what I wanted to. And I got focused and decided that, okay, enough is enough. I'm not going anywhere. So when I went back to school, I just focused on school, didn't care that I was 3.5 years older than everybody else, and started all over again. And I actually, instead of graduating in 1983, I graduated in 86, and I walked across the stage with my graduating class and got my diploma like a normal high school student would. And it was basically because I had decided in my mind that I wanted to go into the military. My father was ex-military. He was a Marine. I didn't join the Marines, obviously. As I said, I was in the Army. He did a tour in Vietnam. So I did what I felt that I was led to do. So I joined the Army.
Did you feel like you needed to basically follow in your father's steps being in the military, or was it more of a personal quest?
I don't think it was to follow in my father's footsteps, because if that would have been the case, obviously I would have joined the Marines and carried on that. I think it was just a way to better myself, to advance myself and my goals. So,
do you regret doing what you did as far as going to high school at the age of 18? I mean, I'm just still stuck there. I've never heard that happen, but evidently it did.
It did in my life, honestly, I've never heard of anybody else doing it, and now I don't know if you can even do it, but to do anything now, I mean, you need a high school diploma, and even back then, like, that was mid '80s. Even back then, the military wasn't taking GEDs. So for me to even, like I said, to even join the military, I had to get a diploma. And as I said, I didn't think about it. I just did it because I knew it was something I had to do. Basically, as I said, to better myself and try and make a better life for myself, because like I said, my dad was in the military, and because of Agent Orange and being in Vietnam, he passed away when I was 10, and so basically I had no, I don't want to say I had no guidance, but I had no role model as far as continually being there. There was, there were people in and out of my life, but there was no continual someone that I could go to say, hey, what do you think, or what should I do, or what would you do? So the term learning from a school of hard knocks basically was my life. And everything that I learned, I pretty much learned from the school of hard knocks. Mm-hmm. So everything that I learned stuck with me because I learned it the hard way.
How was your military life?
It was great in basic training. When I went in as an E3 because I had planned to make that my career. So when I was in high school, I went through ROTC. So instead of going in as an E1, I went in as an E3. My first station of duty, I would have been a Spec 4 already. But as I graduated from basic training to go to my advanced schooling, about halfway through my AIT, I had found out that they had breached my contract, so I wasn't going to receive what I signed up for. And so basically, I got out of the military on a breach of contract, but it was still considered a honorable discharge. It's what they call an ELS, which is an entry level separation, and only because I wasn't in longer than 6 months. But on my DD 214, which is your discharge papers, it says that I have an honorable discharge.
So you weren't able to go to battle or go into different locations, or
not at that time, because I had gotten out. I actually had gotten out during my schooling when I found out I wasn't getting the correct MOS that I had signed up for. So to me, I thought, I'm not going to waste my time doing something that I wouldn't have enjoyed and I didn't initially sign up for anyway. So I got out of the military.
So you carry a picture about, of your dad.
Yeah.
Can you explain what is the purpose or what the meaning of the picture that you have for him and that photography you took of him and what was going on?
It would be the Marines that were at the time the picture was taken would know what it is, and what it represents. It's an article called The Peace Church, and what it is, it was a group of Marines that been further out into the field than anybody knew they were. And they were surrounded by VC, and they all thought they were going to die. And the picture is a helicopter had been shot down, and what the picture is the pilot and the photographer were rushing into the church to get to safety. And when they took the picture, it was the surprised look of one of the Marines that was in the church, but it was also a picture of my dad in the church with one of his wounds that he actually received a Purple Heart for. He received 2 Purple Hearts. So that's the picture that I carry, and it's in remembrance of him and his service, and the fact that he did pass away at 29, and I really didn't get to know him because of the last 3 years of his life. He was in and out of the hospital with dealing with Hodgkin's disease and lymphoma. So it's one of the few things that I do have of my father. So,
how did all of the experiences that you did encounter help mold you into who you are today? How did it shape you? How did it, did it change your thinking? Did it change the way you look at life? What impact?
I guess at first I was bitter. I dealt with a lot of bitterness. I mean, at 10 years old, my father died, and I kind of felt like I got left on my own. I had no male role model, so nobody. I had no one to teach me how to really be a man or the man of the house or anything like that. So it was basically learning on my own, and then the men that I had been, blessed to be around that actually took the time to show me things and, help me to become a man. I held on to the good. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, believe me, and I've even learned from them. I mean, quitting school at 15 was a huge mistake, but I learned, and I went back. I tried to better myself going through the military, and even though that didn't work out, that was part of a growing part of my life that, just because someone says they're going to do this doesn't always mean you're going to get it. So you kind of learn to deal with the ups and downs and really the disappointments, because that's what I had planned. My life was to be, military and spend my life in the military. So, it's been hard. I mean, like I said, it's there's times where, like, even at, I hate to say it, even at 52 years old now, I still make mistakes, but it's part of growing and learning and still dealing with who you are. So, excuse me, do you think that the military had a positive impact in your life as well, as far as helping you to have structure, discipline, and certain? Oh yeah, definitely, because it before that, like I said, I kind of at 15, I kind of ran the streets. I worked, but I was running the streets and, hanging with my buddies, and we did what we wanted. I mean, and it, you go from that to, you get up at 5 a.m, this has got to be done. This has got to be done. It's, at first it's like culture shock. And then even now it's still bred in me that I do things a certain way. And it's from the military. So, and, it keeps you, it does. It will keep you, if you take it seriously, you get out of it what you put into it. And, I was, like I said, I had given everything when I went through basic training. I was one of 8 that got a letter of commendation from the captain in basic training. Two of us out of each platoon got letters of commendation. So, I mean, this was my life. This was going to be my life. So, in a sense, it let me down a little bit, but there's reasons behind things, and I may not know what that reason was. I have no idea.
Do you regret anything, any decisions that you've made, as far as even joining the military or?
No, if I would have been, I guess, a little more aware of how things worked as far as when you do join and you sign, if I was, I don't want to say, I don't like the word naive or being taken advantage of, but if I would have been more aware of, I would join again. And that might sound crazy to some people, but that part of my life, even up till the time I got out, was a good part of my life. I met a lot of really great guys that, we went through basic training together, and half of the guys I went through basic training together, we all went into the same MOS, so I would have known these guys my entire life. So, regrets, probably not being more aware of what I was getting myself into. So, other than that, no. I'm one that believes that everybody should do some time in the military. It would definitely help out a lot.
Why would you recommend someone to join the military, or whether it is, full service or reserve? Why would you recommend someone?
Just for the not only the discipline, but the fact that you're serving your country. You're serving a place that we have the freedom to do, and now it's basically do what you want to do. I mean, we have the freedoms that no other country in the world has. So why not give, even if it's a year or two, why not give time to say, okay, I love my country enough that I will give 2 years of my life to protect it and to serve and to protect the people that live here and to protect those freedoms. Mm-hmm. So that's, that would be my, and like I said, you learn how to be disciplined. It's very disciplined. When I went through, I don't know now, but I know when I went through, it was very disciplined. You had to carry your weight. So,
do you think that being, I'm going to go back to the loss of your father and everything. Do you think that you were looking for that father figure, and it was kind of in the military, because military basically will guide and instruct and lead and give you protection and so forth like that? Do you think that could be some part of why you went in, to get that fatherly, in a sense, guidance? Take your time.
Well, I've never really thought about it that way. I've never looked at it, but it could be. It could have been. It was. It and I hate to use this analogy. It was kind of my way of getting out of here, but I wasn't doing it just to get out of here. I wanted something that would benefit me also. And you do get trained. You get like I said, with the discipline, everything's on a regiment. And I guess with my personality, I need that regimented lifestyle. So why not? I loved the fact that I would have been working on, huge vehicles in the military. And, it might have been the fact that, hey, maybe I do need that, but not to look at it as a father figure, but just to have that, okay, this is how you need to be here, and use that as a growing tool or a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not to say that, I needed to be babied every day of my life, but the military possibly could have given me a solid foundation to grow from. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
that's a good word, a solid foundation to grow from, because as fathers, they are
right.
the solid,
right.
They are basically
right.
the foundation in which the child grows on as they lead and as they guide and direct.
Right.
And so instruct. So that's, as you was talking about that, I thought about, because of the loss of your father in military at the same time, because evidently the loss of your father kind of catapulted you to get yourself together in high school, and then boom, you wanted to go into military. So you knew you needed that, that guidance in a sense.
Well, it wasn't, but it wasn't with me. It wasn't an overnight thing.
Right.
Like I said, my father passed away when I was 10. I barely knew him. The last 3 years of his life, he was in and out of the hospital. We were barely lucky if we saw him once or twice a month, if that, because they had put the Hodgkin's disease into remission twice, and when it came back the third time, it was in his lymph nodes. So it was totally gone by then. But I had, from the time I was 10 till I quit school at 15, and then from 15 to 18, where I finally decided, okay, this is enough. I don't want to live like this. I need something to at least give me some kind of direction. And I chose the military. And as I said, it would have been my life if it would have worked out. So I have no regrets with what I did. As I said, the only regret I had was at that time of my life is that I quit school at 15 and thought, well, nobody's going to tell me what to do. And I learned the hard way that it's, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So,
Tony, when you look over your life and you see the experiences and you see the struggles and even your victories of overcoming situations and stuff, what one word would you describe you? What is that one word that you would describe that would cover everything that you've endured? For an example, courageous,
Perseverance. I think perseverance would. Yeah, I'm a little slower than some people as far as getting things done, but I don't quit when I put my mind to it. It's all right, let's get this done, and just because there was many times growing up that I could have just given up and said, oh, and not to take anything away from anybody that has ever lost a parent or feels like their life is coming apart. I would just tell them to persevere, because there is another side to what you're going through, and I'm living proof of it. I've dealt with the loss of a parent at 10 and having nobody to talk to about it. I felt like I was let down, when I joined the military, but I would still recommend it. So, and you deal with what life gives you, and you, as I said, if I would say persevere, just keep pressing forward no matter how long. I mean, I stayed out of school for almost 3.5 years and went back. As you said, you've never heard of anybody doing that.
Mm-mm.
So
that's just
unbelievable. And actually, like I said, I believe when I went back, nobody in the school system had ever heard of anybody going back and starting over at 18 years old, but I wanted my diploma. So I did. And but to just one day at a time, that's all you can do. It's just one day at a time, and it gets better. Because there were times in my life where I really thought that I wasn't going to make it. But I said it was one day at a time, and you persevere.
When you said the word persevere, it reminded me of the scripture that says the race is not given to the swift, but to them that endure unto the end.
Right.
And so you endured a lot of things, that, people wouldn't have, some people wouldn't have even overcame or even endured, not only just the brief moment in the military and dealing with that, but also the loss of your father, being on your own, having no family support at the age of 15 and doing what doing what you do. So I commend you for the service that you've given. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the military.
Right.
Well, you could be in it for 3 months or for 10 years. You served. Your heart was there to serve. So I definitely commend you on your life and on the victory of persevering.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Is there anything else you would like to say before we close?
If anybody is going through a hardship like anything that like I've gone through, just tomorrow's another day, and it you might not think it, but it does get better. I can't say that it gets easier, but it gets better, and you learn to deal with it. And you could be going through something that you can use to help somebody else.
Well, that was awesome. That was awesome word of wisdom. Again, thank you for coming on the show, Tony. You've listened to Live with Necee. I'm your host, Opal Bailey. God bless.